I felt increasingly suffocated those days. The feeling that my work was not valued consumed me. It was frustrating to see my ideas frequently ignored or, even worse, appropriated by Jessica, my boss. She had a clear fondness for her charges, and this was beginning to affect not only my confidence, but also my enthusiasm for the work I used to love. I remember one meeting in particular. I had spent the entire week working on a new digital marketing strategy that, in my view, could significantly boost our online presence. I spent sleepless nights refining details, preparing presentations, and anticipating possible questions. When the day of the meeting arrived, I was nervous but confident. It was an opportunity to show my worth. "Jessica, I would like to present a new digital marketing strategy that I believe can bring great results to the company," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked at me dismissively, but waved me on. I made the presentation clearly, explaining each point and showing data that supported my proposal. When I finished, the silence in the room was palpable. Jessica cleared her throat. "Interesting, Amanda. But I think we need something more robust. I'll ask Pedro to take a look and see what he can complement." Pedro was one of Jessica's protégés. It was clear that she had no intention of following through with my idea. I felt devastated. All my efforts seemed to have been in vain, and once again, my contribution was discarded without even a fair consideration. After the meeting, I went to the office cafeteria, trying to hold back the tears. Lucas, from the IT department, approached. He had a calm way about him and always knew how to make me feel better. "Hey Amanda, how are you?" he asked, with a worried expression. "No, Lucas, it's not. I feel like I'm hitting a brick wall. No matter how hard I try, Jessica never gives me credit for anything," I blurted out. Lucas sighed. "I know how you feel. I've been there too. But you're not alone. What if we did something together? Something they couldn't ignore?" The idea started to take shape in my mind. Maybe it was time to do something different, to show my worth in a way that couldn't be ignored. Lucas and I started meeting after work, discussing ideas and strategies. He had a wealth of technical knowledge that perfectly complemented my marketing skills. "Let's do this, Amanda. Let's create something so good they'll have no choice but to listen to us," he said with determination. "Yes, let's go," I agreed, feeling a new spirit rise within me. As we worked together, a genuine friendship began to blossom. Lucas was a great support and made me believe that I really had something valuable to offer. He always said, "They can't ignore what's brilliant, Amanda." And you are brilliant. Even with all of Lucas' support, there were still moments of doubt. It was hard not to feel insecure when you constantly see your work being undervalued. But every time I thought about giving up, I remembered Lucas' words and my own determination to change that unfair situation. So while Jessica continued to pander to her protégés and undermine my contributions, Lucas and I worked tirelessly on our secret project. I knew we were up to something big, something that could finally show my true worth and change the dynamic of that office. Jessica's constant devaluation was about to hit a snag. I was determined to make my efforts and talent recognized, not just by myself, but by all my colleagues who also felt neglected and unmotivated. The time of being underestimated was coming to an end. Determined to change the situation that bothered me so much, I secretly started working on an innovative project that could revolutionize the company's marketing strategy. I knew I couldn't do it alone, and I needed to find someone who shared my desire for change and was willing to take a risk. It was then that I thought of Lucas, a colleague from the IT department. Lucas has always been a competent professional and, like me, he felt neglected by leadership. "Lucas, do you have a minute?" I asked, approaching him in the hallway. "Of course, Amanda. What do you need?" he replied, with a welcoming smile. I explained my idea to him, detailing the project I had in mind and how I believed it could revolutionize the way the company handled its marketing campaigns. Lucas listened intently, nodding his head in approval. "That's amazing, Amanda. I always knew you had great ideas. And I'm all in. Let's do this together." From that moment on, we started meeting after work, dedicating hours on end to our secret project. Every detail was carefully planned. Lucas contributed his technical skills while I focused on the strategic and creative part. There was an incredible synergy between us, and with each step we took, we felt that we were closer to achieving something great. "Lucas, look at this," I said, showing him a new approach I had thought of to reach our target audience more effectively. "Wow, Amanda, that's brilliant. Let's integrate this idea into our plan. I think we're on the right track." Our work sessions were intense, but also rewarding. It was the first time I felt like my ideas were really being valued and that I was doing something meaningful. Lucas also seemed more excited and engaged than ever. Our conversations weren't just limited to the project. We started talking about our frustrations at work, our dreams and hopes for the future. "Have you ever thought about what it would be like if things were different here, Amanda?" Lucas asked one day, while we were taking a coffee break. "Yes, often. I believe that if we had leadership that was fairer and more open to new ideas, we could achieve incredible results. The problem is that Jessica doesn't give us that chance." "I agree. But I think we're about to change that." Over time, our friendship grew stronger. Lucas became not just a project partner, but a true friend, someone I could trust and count on in difficult times. His presence gave me the strength I needed to continue, even when tiredness and doubts threatened to overwhelm me. "Lucas, I'm starting to get nervous about the presentation. What if Jessica finds a way to sabotage us?" I confessed, in a moment of vulnerability. "Don't worry, Amanda. We're prepared. Our idea is solid and we have proof that it works. Trust in yourself and the work we've done together." These words of encouragement were fundamental for me. I knew we were about to face a huge challenge, but I also felt that, together, we could overcome any obstacle. Finally, the day of the meeting arrived. My heart was pounding as I entered the conference room, but Lucas' presence by my side gave me the confidence I needed to move forward. We were ready to present our project and show everyone the value of our ideas. I knew it would be a decisive moment, not just for my career, but for the entire dynamics of the office. "Amanda, we're with you," Lucas whispered, as we prepared to begin. I took a deep breath and began the presentation, knowing that this was the first step towards achieving the recognition and justice that we so desired. I could no longer hide my frustration. Every time a meeting ended, I left the office with a knot in my stomach. Jessica, my boss, seemed to have a knack for ignoring my ideas. No matter how hard I tried, it was always the same story. She gave credit to her charges, while I remained invisible. Determined to change this situation, I secretly started working on an innovative project that could revolutionize our marketing strategies. But to do that, I needed help. That's when I approached Lucas, a colleague from the IT department. He also felt neglected by the leadership, and I soon realized that we could make a good team. Our initial conversations were shy, but they quickly became more frequent and intense. "Lucas, I need your help with something," I said, trying to hide my anxiety. "Of course, Amanda. What you need?" he replied, curious. I explained to him my idea for the project and how it could benefit the company. Lucas seemed excited from the beginning and readily agreed to help me. We spent many nights working together, exchanging ideas and adjusting details. Little by little, a genuine friendship began to form between us. One night, as we stood in the empty conference room, Lucas looked at me with a smile on his face. "Amanda, have you ever thought that this project could not only change the company, but also our lives?" he asked. "Honestly, Lucas, I've been thinking about this every day. I just hope all this effort is worth it," I replied, with a mixture of hope and fear. Our conversations often went beyond work. I discovered that Lucas had an incredible sense of humor and a passion for technology that was contagious. He also shared his own frustrations with the company's leadership, and I realized I wasn't alone in this fight for recognition. "You know, Amanda, sometimes I think we need to be a little bolder to get noticed," said Lucas, on one of those nights. "I totally agree. And I think we're on the right track with this project. Let's make this happen, Lucas, I replied, determined. Over time, our partnership grew stronger. Lucas became more than a coworker, he was a friend I could trust. He always encouraged me, especially when I felt discouraged. Amanda, you are incredible. Don't let anyone make you think otherwise, he told me one day when I was feeling particularly unmotivated. These words of support from Lucas were crucial for me. They gave me the strength I needed to continue, even when everything seemed difficult. Our friendship brought new enthusiasm to my work and, for the first time in a long time, I began to believe that we could really make a difference. One night, as we were reviewing the final details of the project, Lucas paused and looked at me seriously. Amanda, I know this is important to you. And I want you to know that I'm with you until the end. Let's show everyone what we're capable of, he said, with conviction. Thank you, Lucas. This means a lot to me. Let's do our best and see what happens, I replied, feeling warm in my heart. With Lucas' help, I could see a light at the end of the tunnel. The friendship that blossomed between us not only made the work environment more bearable, but also gave me the confidence to continue fighting for justice and recognition. We were ready to face whatever came our way, together. And so, as we developed the project, our approach became a pillar of strength and motivation. The connection we formed transformed not only our work, but also our personal lives. Facing injustice became easier knowing I wasn't alone. Lucas and I were ready to change the dynamics of the office and, perhaps, even our careers. Discovery about the mentor. It wasn't easy for me to find out what really happened to my mentor, the former marketing manager, but it was something I needed to do. I was increasingly determined to understand why he was removed from the company so suddenly and unfairly. I have always admired him, and his guidance was crucial to my professional development. However, everything changed when Jessica arrived and took charge of the department. My investigation began discreetly. I knew I couldn't trust everyone, so I kept my suspicions secret, sharing only with Lucas, my colleague and now close friend. One day, during a conversation in the cafeteria, Lucas asked me, Amanda, do you really believe that Jessica had something to do with your mentor's departure? Lucas, I not only believe it, I'm almost certain of it. But I need proof. Something concrete to be able to confront her, I replied, with a tone of determination in my voice. Lucas, who has always been handy with technology, suggested we check some old emails and documents that might give us a clue. He offered to log into the company's system and look for any correspondence that might be relevant. It was an exhausting week, full of sleepless nights and growing anxiety. Until, finally, Lucas found something. He called me to his table and, with a serious look, said, Amanda, you need to see this. What he found was a series of emails exchanged between Jessica and senior management, where she manipulated information and distorted facts to alienate my mentor. She painted him as incompetent and backwards, while in reality, he was bringing excellent results to the company. Furthermore, Jessica was clearly trying to consolidate her power by eliminating any threat to her control. This is worse than I imagined, I said, feeling a mixture of anger and sadness. Not only did she unfairly remove my mentor, but she also harmed the entire team with her maneuvers. Lucas nodded, sharing my feeling of injustice. We knew we had to act, but we needed to be careful. We decided that the best way to expose Jessica was to use this information strategically, without appearing vengeful or desperate. Amanda, have you thought about how you're going to present this? Lucas asked, worried. Yes. I'll use the next team meeting for that. I will present my innovative project and, in the middle of the presentation, I will show how my ideas have already contributed to the success of several campaigns. And then, I'm going to reveal what we discovered about Jessica, I replied, with a clear plan in mind. Preparation for the meeting was intense. Lucas and I spent hours adjusting every detail of the presentation. In addition to the innovative project, we included graphs, data and, of course, the emails that proved Jessica's manipulation. On the day of the meeting, I entered the conference room with a mix of nervousness and confidence. Jessica was there, with her cold and calculating look. I knew this was my chance to change things. Good morning, everybody. Today, I'm going to present a proposal that could transform our marketing strategy. I started, trying to remain calm. As the presentation progressed, I could see looks of surprise and admiration from my colleagues. And then, it was time to reveal the truth about Jessica. In addition to the project, I would like to share something I recently discovered, I said, feeling the weight of the words. Emails that prove our former marketing manager was unfairly removed. The room fell silent. Jessica tried to intervene, but I continued. Here is proof that Jessica manipulated information and harmed our team to consolidate her power. Jessica turned pale, while my classmates began to murmur among themselves. The meeting ended in a tense atmosphere, but I knew I had done the right thing. From that moment on, the dynamics of the office would never be the same. On the day of the meeting, I was a mix of nerves and determination. I spent the night before reviewing every detail of my project, checking if all the points were aligned and if the statistics were correct. Lucas, my IT partner and now close friend, sent me an encouraging message first thing in the morning. You're going to rock, Amanda. Trust your talent. Those words gave me an extra boost. Upon entering the meeting room, I felt butterflies in my stomach, but I maintained a confident posture. All eyes were on me, including Jessica's, who was watching me with an expression that mixed disdain and curiosity. Let's start the meeting, she announced, visibly eager to get over that part and get on with the agenda that interested her protégés. I took a deep breath and started the presentation. Good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to share with you a project that I have been working on for the last few months. I believe it can revolutionize our marketing strategy. I connected my laptop to the projector and the first screens appeared. It was a detailed plan for how we could utilize new digital platforms to reach a broader, more diverse audience, something we had never explored before. As I progressed, I could see the interest growing on my classmates' faces. Maria from the design team leaned forward, visibly impressed. Pedro, from finance, started taking notes. And then, the crucial moment arrived. I would like to highlight that many of the successful campaigns we have had in recent times were based on ideas that I presented previously. Today, I bring a more complete and bold strategy, which I believe can lead us to a new level. Jessica looked uncomfortable. Amanda, are you saying these were your ideas? She asked, trying to maintain her composure. Yes, Jessica. And I'm willing to prove it with the records of our meetings and the emails we exchanged. My voice was steady. There was no more room to retreat. Lucas, who was sitting in the back, gave a slight smile of approval. He knew how much this meant to me. I continued the presentation, detailing each stage of the project, from conception to implementation, and showing how my ideas had already brought good results. When I finished, the room was silent for a moment, before erupting in applause. Maria was the first to speak up. Amanda, this is incredible. I had never thought of this approach. Pedro agreed, the numbers you presented are impressive. I think we should move forward with this. Jessica, on the other hand, was visibly upset. Well, it looks like you really put a lot of work into this, Amanda. Let's discuss this further later. His voice was controlled, but I could hear the tension. I felt enormous relief, but I knew this was just the beginning. The presentation had been a success, but now the consequences came. In the hallways, colleagues started talking about favoritism and Jessica's practices. The conversations were whispered, but the tenor was clear. Did you hear what Amanda said? Will Jessica recognize her work now? After the meeting, Lucas met me in the lobby. You were amazing, Amanda. I knew you could do it. Thank you, Lucas. I couldn't have done it without your help. I gave him a quick hug, feeling a huge weight lift off my shoulders. That performance not only exposed my talent, but also highlighted Jessica's questionable practices. From then on, the dynamics of the office began to change. I gained respect and admiration from my colleagues, and Lucas also began to be more valued. The impact of that meeting was far beyond what I could have imagined. It wasn't just about a marketing project, It was about fighting for justice and recognition. And, that day, I took the first step towards transforming not only my career, but also the work environment as a whole. The meeting was at its climax. I had just presented the innovative project that Lucas and I had been working hard on for weeks. The silence in the room was palpable. Everyone seemed to absorb the details and magnitude of the proposal I had just presented. I felt my heart racing, but a feeling of relief also began to wash over me. Finally, my ideas were out in the open without Jessica's interference. "Amanda, that's impressive," said Carolina, one of the most experienced analysts on the team, with her eyes wide with admiration. "I had no idea you were working on this," added Ricardo, the operations director, with a surprised tone of voice. Jessica, on the other hand, maintained a rigid, almost expressionless expression. She knew she was in a delicate situation. After a few seconds of silence, she forced a smile and said, "Good job, Amanda." Of course, this required a lot of dedication. I knew the next step would be even more challenging. I took a deep breath and continued. "Thank you, Jessica. But I would like to take this opportunity to clarify something important." I noticed that everyone in the room was intrigued. Jessica frowned, clearly uncomfortable. I continued, with a firm voice. "This project was only possible thanks to the collaboration of Lucas, from the IT department, who helped me with several technological innovations. Furthermore, I wanted to highlight that many of the ideas I presented today are based on concepts that I had been developing for some time, but which were often ignored in previous meetings." "Amanda, I don't think this is the right time to," Jessica tried to intervene, but I politely interrupted her. "I apologize, but I believe this is the right time, Jessica. We need to talk about how the contributions of some team members have been undervalued while others have received undue credit." The atmosphere in the room changed drastically. The looks from my colleagues went from curiosity to a kind of silent solidarity. Lucas, sitting in the back, nodded discreetly, giving me the strength to continue. "It's no secret that we've been facing problems of favoritism. Successful projects have been attributed to people who did not necessarily contribute to them. This not only demotivates the team, but also compromises the quality of our work." Ricardo, the operations director, raised an eyebrow and looked directly at Jessica, who now looked nervous. "That's a serious accusation, Amanda. Do you have evidence to support what you are saying?" he asked, his tone gravely serious. "Yes, Ricardo. I have records of emails, reports and presentations that clearly show my contributions and those of other colleagues, like Lucas. And, in addition, I would like to mention that the removal of our former marketing manager, Marcos, was also a clear example of manipulation to consolidate power." Marcos's name caused a buzz in the room. He was highly respected by everyone and his sudden departure was always a point of contention. Carolina spoke again. "I always found Marcos's departure strange. He was an excellent leader. Jessica, do you have anything to say about this?" Jessica, visibly cornered, tried to maintain her composure. "All the decisions I made were in the best interests of the company. If someone feels wronged, we can discuss it separately." Ricardo knocked on the table, drawing everyone's attention. "No, Jessica. I think we need to discuss this now. If there is any practice of favoritism or manipulation, it must be corrected immediately. Amanda, could you send us those records you mentioned?" "Of course, Ricardo. I will send everything today." The meeting ended in a tense atmosphere, but with a sense that changes were coming. I left the room with my head held high, feeling a mixture of relief and apprehension. Lucas met me in the hallway and gave me a quick hug. "You were incredible, Amanda. We have to continue in this together." "Thank you, Lucas. I wouldn't have done it without you." That afternoon, I sent all the documents to Ricardo. From that moment on, the dynamics of the office began to change. My colleagues began to look at me with more respect and admiration, and Jessica's favoritism and manipulation were finally under investigation. I knew there was still a long way to go, but I was sure that the first and most difficult step had been taken. From the moment I presented my project, the dynamics of the office changed drastically. It was a real turning point for me and my colleagues. I didn't expect the reaction to be so shocking, but at the same time, it was exactly what I needed to bring to light what was wrong in the company. That morning, I walked into the meeting room with a mix of determination and nervousness. Lucas was by my side, offering silent but essential support. When I started the presentation, I could feel the curious and skeptical looks of my colleagues, but as I progressed, these looks turned into expressions of surprise and admiration. "This is the campaign I've been working on for the last few months," I began, showing slides of the innovative ideas I'd developed. "I believe it has the potential to significantly increase our engagement and conversion." Jessica, my boss, watched me closely. His eyes revealed a mixture of disbelief and discomfort. I knew she was feeling threatened, but I continued with confidence. "These ideas didn't come out of nowhere," I continued. "They are the result of hard and collaborative work, which involves the contribution of several departments, including IT, with the essential help of Lucas." At this moment, Lucas smiled and nodded. I could see the pride in his eyes, and it gave me even more strength to carry on. I would also like to highlight that some of these strategies have already been implemented in previous campaigns, with positive results, I added, showing graphs and data that prove my point. Unfortunately, these contributions have not been properly recognized. The room was silent for a few seconds, until one of my colleagues, Pedro, who was always fair and impartial, spoke up. "Amanda, these results are really impressive. Why haven't we heard of these ideas before?" he asked, looking directly at Jessica. Jessica tried to compose herself. "Well, maybe there was some miscommunication," she said, with a forced smile. "Lack of communication or lack of recognition?" asked Donna, another colleague who also seemed tired of the injustices. That's when I realized I wasn't alone. Other colleagues began speaking out, sharing their own frustrations and experiences of neglect. The meeting turned into an open forum about Jessica's management. "I think we've all felt the favoritism here," commented Carlos, one of the developers. "And it's time to change that." From that moment on, the atmosphere in the office began to change. I gained the respect and admiration of my colleagues, and this was visible on a daily basis. People started looking for me to discuss ideas and projects, and collaboration between departments increased significantly. Lucas was promoted to a more responsible position, which strengthened our friendship even further. He always said, "Amanda, you opened a door for all of us. Now it's our responsibility to keep it open." Jessica, in turn, began to be investigated by the company's management. Executives wanted to better understand accusations of favoritism and mismanagement. This put Jessica in an extremely uncomfortable and threatened position. She became more cautious in her actions, but the damage was already done. It was gratifying to see that my courage and determination were making a difference. I was invited to take on a leadership role in a new strategic project, which represented immense recognition for my work. My friendship with Lucas strengthened even further, paving the way for a possible long-term professional partnership. Looking back and seeing the positive impact my attitude had on the workplace was extremely rewarding. Not only did I transform my career, but I also inspired other employees to fight for justice and recognition. The company began adopting new policies to ensure that favoritism and manipulation did not happen again, and this gave us all a new lease of life. It was a long road, full of challenges and uncertainties, but every step was worth it. And now, with a fairer and more collaborative environment, I am more motivated than ever to continue contributing to the company's success. The board's investigation was a true turning point for the dynamics of our office. I remember clearly the day I was called to a meeting with the company's board of directors. My heart was pounding, but I knew this was my chance to finally expose everything Jessica had done. Lucas walked me to the meeting room door, giving me an encouraging smile and whispering, "You can do it, Amanda. We're all behind you." Inside the room, I sat in front of a group of directors who looked quite serious and focused. The HR director, Mr. Almeida, began the meeting by saying, "Amanda, we have received several reports about favoritism and mismanagement by Jessica. we would like to hear your account of what has been happening." I took a deep breath and began to narrate the situations I was facing. "Well, I've been working at the company for 3 years, and since Jessica took over management, I've noticed that my ideas and contributions were often ignored or appropriated by her and her protégés. This really discouraged me, but I decided to keep pushing myself in the hopes that my work would be recognized." The directors listened intently, and I continued. "However, things got worse when I discovered that my mentor, the former marketing manager, was unfairly removed by Jessica. She manipulated the situation to consolidate her power in the company, which made me left her even more concerned about the integrity of the leadership." Mr. Almeida frowned, visibly uncomfortable with what he was hearing. "Do you have proof of these manipulations and favoritism?" "Yes, I have," I responded, pulling out a folder full of documents and emails that proved my claims. Furthermore, during the development of the innovative project I recently presented, I had the help of Lucas from the IT department. He was also a victim of this same culture of favoritism. Together, we were able to gather enough evidence to show how much these practices harmed not just us, but the entire team. The directors exchanged meaningful glances and Mr. Almeida said, "Thank you, Amanda. Your courage in sharing all of this is admirable. We will investigate these allegations further." In the days that followed, the atmosphere in the office was tense. Jessica looked increasingly uncomfortable, and it was clear that she felt the pressure of the investigation. Some coworkers began to open up about their own experiences of injustice and manipulation, giving more force to the allegations. A week later, I was called back to a meeting with the board. This time, the director's expression was more solemn. "Amanda," Mr. Almeida began, "after a thorough investigation, we have confirmed that Jessica has been involved in favoritism and mismanagement practices. Additionally, we have uncovered evidence of fraudulent activities that benefited her protégés. She will be fired and prosecuted by the company." I felt a mixture of relief and satisfaction wash over me. Finally, justice was being served. "Thank you for believing in me and for the fair investigation," he said, trying to contain his emotion. "Actually, Amanda, we're the ones who thank you," replied Mr. Almeida. "Your courage in denouncing these practices was fundamental. And, therefore, we would like to invite you to take over as marketing manager. The company needs leaders like you." I accepted the proposal with a smile and a heart full of pride. Lucas was promoted to head of the IT department, and our friendship grew even stronger. Together, we started working on new strategic projects that soon showed significant results. The company adopted new policies to ensure that favoritism and manipulation did not happen again. Inspired by my story, other employees also began fighting for justice and recognition in the workplace. And so, the office transformed into a place where talent and dedication were truly valued, and where the courage to stand up against injustice made all the difference. When I received the invitation to take on a leadership role in a new strategic project, it was as if a huge weight had been lifted from my shoulders. The battle I had faced, both personally and professionally, was finally paying off. It all started with constantly undervaluing my work, but now I was about to discover the true impact my courage and determination could have. That morning, I arrived at the office with a mixture of anxiety and excitement. Lucas, my faithful IT department colleague and friend, was by my side, as always. He smiled when he saw me enter. "Amanda, are you ready for this?" he asked with a twinkle in his eye. "I'm more than ready, Lucas. We worked hard to get here," I replied, trying to hide my nervousness. When I entered the meeting room, I felt all eyes on me. Jessica was in the corner of the room, visibly uncomfortable. The board's investigation into her favoritism and mismanagement practices was not being easy for her. But today was a new beginning, not just for me, but for everyone who has been wronged. "Good morning, everyone," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "Today, we will discuss a new strategic project that I have been working on together with Lucas. I believe that this initiative can take us to a new level in terms of marketing and innovation." As I spoke, I realized that my colleagues were really interested in what I had to say. The dynamic in the room was completely different than it had been months ago, when my ideas were either ignored or appropriated by Jessica. Now, I was the one in control. This project is the result of a lot of effort and collaboration, I continued. And I want to make it clear that it was only possible thanks to the unconditional support of Lucas and everyone who believed in me. Lucas gave a slight nod, and I knew he was just as proud as I was. After my presentation, the board asked some questions, all relevant and constructive. They were clearly impressed, and at the end, the company president stood up. "Amanda, your presentation was exceptional. We are very pleased with what we saw and believe you are more than qualified to lead this new strategic project," he stated, looking directly at me. "We would like to invite her to assume this new leadership position, effective immediately." My heart almost jumped out of my chest. I knew this moment was crucial not only for my career, but for everyone who, like Lucas and me, had been overlooked. "Thank you for your trust," I replied, with a sincere smile. "I'm eager to get started and I promise to do my best to ensure this project is a success." As the meeting dispersed, Lucas approached me. "You did it, Amanda. I knew you would do it," he said, giving me a tight hug. "I wouldn't have gotten here without you, Lucas." "We're a team," I replied, feeling deep gratitude. In the days that followed, I began to get deeply involved in the new project. Our friendship with Lucas strengthened even further, and we began to discuss the possibility of future professional partnerships. It was incredible to see how the dynamics of the office were changing. My colleagues now saw me as a leader, and the respect I had always craved was finally there. Jessica, on the other hand, was being increasingly isolated. The board's investigation was in full swing, and evidence of its dishonest practices was mounting. Although I didn't wish harm on anyone, I knew justice was being served. The courage I had to stand up to injustices not only transformed my career, but also inspired other employees to fight for recognition and justice in the workplace. The impact of my actions was just beginning to be felt, and I was ready to face any challenge that lay ahead with confidence and determination. When the investigations started to get more serious, I knew something big was about to happen. The atmosphere in the office was tense, and all eyes were on Jessica, who looked more and more uncomfortable with each passing day. I couldn't help but feel a little anxious about what came next, but there was also a sense of impending justice that gave me the strength to move forward. It was then that, on a Thursday afternoon, the board called an extraordinary meeting. "Amanda, please come to the conference room," said Sophia, the assistant director, with a look that mixed curiosity and seriousness. I picked up my notebook and walked to the living room, trying to remain calm. Upon entering, I saw that all the directors were present, as well as Jessica, who avoided eye contact with me. The company's president, Mr. Roberto, began to speak in a firm voice. "After a thorough investigation, we discovered that Jessica was involved in fraudulent activities to benefit her protégés. This includes manipulation of results, embezzlement of funds, and undue favoritism in promotions." Jessica tried to defend herself. "That's absurd. They're trying to incriminate me without concrete evidence." But Mr. Roberto interrupted her. "The evidence is here, Jessica. We have records of emails, financial transactions, and statements from employees that corroborate the accusations." The room was silent for a moment. Then, Mr. Roberto turned to me and said, "Amanda, your presentation was a turning point. Thanks to your courage, we were able to start this investigation and uncover the truth. The company owes you a lot." I didn't know what to say. I just mumbled a thank you, feeling a mixture of relief and accomplishment. Jessica was fired immediately and left the room under everyone's eyes. The atmosphere was one of relief, but also reflection. Mr. Roberto then addressed me again. "Amanda, we would like to offer you the position of marketing manager. You have demonstrated not only talent, but also integrity and courage. The company needs leaders like you." I was astonished. It was the recognition I always dreamed of, but which seemed so far away. I accept," I replied, trying to control the emotion in my voice. "Thank you for the trust." Lucas, who was outside the room, gave me a hug as soon as I left. "You did it, Amanda. I always knew you could do it." From that moment on, the dynamics of the office changed significantly. With Jessica gone, the company adopted new policies to ensure favoritism and manipulation didn't happen again. I was tasked with implementing these changes, which gave me a sense of purpose and responsibility. Furthermore, my friendship with Lucas grew even stronger. We began working together on new strategic projects, and his promotion was also a sign that the company was finally recognizing the talent and efforts of its employees. One afternoon, as we were discussing a new campaign, Lucas said, "Amanda, do you realize this all started with your desire to make a difference? You've inspired all of us to fight for what's fair." I smiled, feeling more confident than ever. "It was a collective effort, Lucas. Without your support and friendship, I wouldn't have made it." The company prospered under this new management, and more employees began to feel valued and motivated to contribute their ideas. Looking back, I realized the turnaround wasn't just about my promotion or Jessica leaving. It was about creating an environment where everyone could be heard and recognized, inspiring a culture of justice and merit. And so, my journey from undervalued marketing analyst to recognized marketing manager has been marked by challenges but also significant victories. And, above all, it showed that courage and integrity can truly transform a work environment, bringing justice and recognition to everyone.